Thank you. Is this on? Richard Dyke. I'm actually from the Asia Center at Harvard, not part of the working press. But 2 weeks ago, we had interviews of people who were applying for a graduate program at Harvard. And among the applicants were 4 journalists from the Asahi. Actually, on the interviewing panel, there was also a senior person from Asahi. There were also people who applied from Nikkei and from Sankei and so forth. I took it upon myself to ask each of the Asahi journalists what they thought about what you're calling the scandal. Each of them said they were embarrassed. They said in their individual bureaus, they would have study sessions. They felt that their management let them down. You might not be able to answer this because you're on the independent panel, but it does seem that the morale of the journalists in Asahi is way down, and they felt that their president and the board let them down. Do you have any comments about that?
Yes, I heard the same thing, but that's Asahi's problem. Yeah. Thank you for the comments.
Süddeutsche Zeitung Neidal. Let me play stupid. You said everybody knows how far they can go. The last time I looked, Japan didn't have censorship. And I know plenty of young journalists who have hot stories that never have been published because what you call how far they can go. So please explain the mechanism why this self-censorship in this country works so well.
Well, I wouldn't say everybody. Of course, there are other exceptions and courageous journalists here in Japan. I would say that each company has this internal training system. There are no, so to say, outside journalism training program in Japan across the board. If you are a college student and you want to be a journalist, you have to go to either Asahi or NHK, each company, and get the entrance examination, and there you will get trained as a journalist. And if you go, you're sent to a local small bureau, and were taught how you cover police stories, or how you behave yourselves as a journalist, and all these things. So this mechanism of in-house training plays quite a big role in how you perceive the world as a Japanese journalist. And this stipulates how Japanese journalism works so far. And there are some initiatives to try to change this from the side of the college professors and also from other journalist initiatives, but it's quite slow. So I think the training mechanism is quite different from other European or United States, American system, and that counts a lot. That's one explanation. I don't know whether you're satisfied with this. No?
So in what way different?
So if you are trained as a journalist in Japan, you are trained in-house, and you see how you are taught from the senior journalists how you see the world in-house as Asahi way or as a Yomiuri way. But if you're a journalist, for example, in the United States, if you become a journalist and you work for one company and then you jump to the other and you are, so to say, exposed to other competitive mechanisms. But in Japan, you are also promoted inside the company, and there you have tacit rules of how you can get stories and how your articles get published. And that's a big control mechanism of how Japanese journalism works. Of course, there are other different mechanisms of social control that maybe is a more cultural thing. But I can't really explain that in a detailed way. This is a really cultural thing, and Japanese want to be conform to the groups they belong to and so on. But if you focus on the journalism system, then this sort of cultural system is crystallized in the in-house training, that you have to be considerate to the senior journalists. You have your peers, and you get promoted inside the in-house, and you learn rules that are not written anywhere, but you are Asahi journalist, or you are Yomiuri journalist, or you are NHK journalist. And it can be really explained how this, what these are in words.
Any questions? Otherwise,
Here.
First there, then.
Thank you.
Secretly freelancer journalist from Germany. Is there no understanding in the newspapers that this kind of journalism isolates Japan? Is there no understanding how the different role of the Japanese media? Do journalists or the editors, they don't understand how different they are from the other newspapers?
Well, yeah. Yes, I would say maybe yes, that's because of the globalization, and if you say that Asahi journalists applied to the Harvard program and they experienced American journalism, they realized that something is different in the United States than what is happening in Japan. So some of them know that it's different. I would say that I criticize Japanese journalism too, but on the other hand, Japanese journalism as a community journalism, they are sometimes observant to, they are considerate to people. I mean, I'm also in the regulatory board for the TV programs, and some of the really radical scandals that we see in the West are not existent in Japan in a way. Yeah, so I don't idealize both sides, but I would say that Japanese media, even newspapers with millions of copies, they are there for Japanese they have been there for the Japanese national community. And they, of course, some people realize that it's quite different from media overseas. But some say that it's not good. But others maybe say that, well, we're different, and what's wrong with it? So that's the attitude I sometimes experience. So what's wrong with it? Yeah, I mean. You know what I mean? The interpretation of globalization, for example, has a good side and bad side. So it's a matter of judgment. Yeah, it's up to your judgment how you interpret it for the Japanese society. But at the time of globalization, I'm sure it's not a sustainable attitude in reality. That's for sure. So something should be changed too.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.